Welcome to the Football Bulletin from BBC Sport with me, Andy Barwell, bringing you the headlines for Thursday the 9th of January. Spurs were 1-0 winners at home to Liverpool in the first leg of their League Cup semi-final. There was also a moment of history in English football at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The BBC senior football reporter Ian Dennis was there.
Not many expected this. 17 days after losing 6-3 to Liverpool and decimated by injury and suspension, Tottenham produced a spirited display to end Liverpool's 24-match unbeaten run. They also lost Rodrigo Bentancur early on with a serious head injury, but the young Spurs certainly earned theirs. In the second half, Porro should have scored. Solanke did, but it was ruled out for offside after VAR, so we had the first use of an in-stadium announcement. That disappointment didn't last long as Solanke set up Bergvall, who struck his first goal for the club with 4 minutes left. Dragoshin had made a goal line clearance from Alexander-Arnold, while debutant Kinski in goal made a fine reflex save in injury time, as Spurs take a slender lead to Anfield for the return in 4 weeks' time.
Well, the Tottenham boss, Ange Postecoglou, is not a fan of VAR or this new variant.
Have you ever taken inspiration from something David Bowie did? Maybe it was a fashion choice you made, or perhaps one of his lyrics helped you in some way. He was someone who inspired so many people, but also took so much inspiration from the world around him to explore different artistic directions. This is the Curious Collection, an audio trip down the rabbit hole available only on BBC Sounds for 7 days with me, Kimberly Wilson. To find us again, press the podcast button on the BBC Sounds app and we'll be on the scroll bar at the top of that page. This time, we're exploring the world of David Bowie, hopefully in a way that hasn't been done 100 times before. We'll be looking at him through the lens of inspiration and hearing stories of moments, people and places that directly inspired his work, as well as some tales from people who were inspired by him. Let's start with one of those. Grace Dent tells the story of Lawrence in this episode.
Sometimes ignorance is preferable to the detailed truth. Maybe we only care about truth insofar as it empowers us. Knowing and thinking about all of the details of every orange tree would just be a psychological burden for the most of us. I'll take illusion over the reality. But I can't help but ask, is it possible that the mind is actually accessing a deeper kind of truth? Maybe the mind is separating the signal from the noise. But what constitutes signal versus noise? Our values. A farmer that values knowing all the details of an orange tree will view it differently than a regular person. Well, where do our values come from? Here's Nietzsche's view from Beyond Good and Evil. Behind all logic and its seeming sovereignty of movement, there too stand valuations, or more clearly, physiological demands for the preservation of a certain type of life. For Nietzsche, our values come from our physiological demands. And what does our physiology demand? Power. It wants to survive and thrive. What does it mean to thrive? To imagine the world a certain way and to be able to make that illusion a reality. Someone could try to contest this idea by saying that they don't seek power or want to thrive. They won't eat or drink anything to prove this point. But they would still be seeking a kind of power. They imagine a world in which they prove the idea wrong, and they seek to bring that world into fruition, even at their own expense.
The summer learning loss is a term that they use to describe the regressions that kids in low-income neighborhoods face relative to their affluent peers. So they say in lower-income neighborhoods kids forget anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 months of what they learned during the school year over the summer, while their middle-class peers break even or even make gains. When I first learned about the achievement gap, I was a freshman in college and I certainly wanted to understand what the causes of it were. And as I started to do my research, I realized that there were 1,000 different reasons why the achievement gap existed, everything from a lack of positive role models to poor health conditions in so many of these inner-city and low-income neighborhoods. And then I found this startling statistic that said that 2/3 of the achievement gap could be directly attributed to unequal summer learning opportunities, or the summer learning loss. In low-income neighborhoods, kids forget anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 months of what they learn over the summer from the school year, and so when they return to school they are now 2.5 to 3.5 months behind their affluent or their middle-class peers. Just to put that in perspective for you all, the school year from September to June is only 10 months long. If a kid forgets 2.5 to 3.5 months of what they learned, that's almost 25 to 35% of their learning. Teachers have then reported that they spend anywhere from 1.5 to 2 months reteaching old material. So if you add that additional 20%, you're talking about 50% of a kid's learning. So we sit here and we ask ourselves, why does an 8th grader only have a 4th grade reading level? And the truth of the matter is that theoretically speaking they've only been in school for half the time.
Imagine a world where the lush green canopies of the Amazon no longer teem with life, where the coral reefs are silent, bereft of their colorful denizens. Our planet's natural habitats are in peril, and their preservation is imperative, not just for the flora and fauna that call them home, but for humanity itself. Each ecosystem plays a critical role in the delicate balance of nature. Forests act as the Earth's lungs, purifying the air we breathe, while oceans regulate the climate. The loss of these habitats leads to the extinction of species, each a thread in the intricate web of life. Once gone, these threads cannot be rewoven. As inheritors of the Earth, the onus is on us, the educated youth, to be the vanguards of conservation. Simple actions like supporting sustainable products and reducing waste contribute to a larger collective effort. In safeguarding nature's sanctuaries, we secure the future for generations to come.